Call this meeting to order at 5:31 p.m. Thank you to everyone for being here, council, citizens, thank you for being here. Staff, thank you for being here. Please do our roll call.
Mayor Rodham,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Perry, Councilmember Caffey,
Here.
Councilmember Walker,
Here.
Councilmember Ruelas Oliveros,
Here.
Councilmember Starnes,
Here.
Councilmember Milton.
Here.
Thank you. If you would, please join me, face the flag. Pledge. Pledge allegiance. Go ahead, sir.
I'd ask you to again please stand as you are able and bow your head for this evening's invocation. Lord, we ask for your protection over our community. Guard us from harm, violence, and discord. Let your peace reign in our streets, our homes, and our hearts. Lift up those who are struggling within our community, those who are experiencing hardship, poverty, loneliness, or illness. Fill us with your mercy so that we in turn may be merciful to others. Strip away pride, suspicion, and racism so that we may seek peace and justice in our community. Strengthen our hearts so that they beat only to the rhythm of your will. We pray for wisdom, for strength, and for courage to do what is right and good for all citizens. May we put the interest of others above our own. May we act with love for the common good. May we be good neighbors, recognizing your image in every person here tonight. Bless our city as we continue to celebrate our sesquicentennial. Bless this meeting tonight. Grant us wisdom and grace in our words and actions. Finally, we thank you for our new city manager. We ask for your blessings upon Tim Kelty and his wife, Alma, as they transition to our cities. May each of us strive each day to do our part to make our community a city that reflects your goodness, kindness, grace, and peace. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you for that prayer.
Thank you, Dave.
Councilman Melton. Before we do the oath of office for our new city manager, Mr. Kelty, I have something I want to say. Having attended a lot of the events over the past week and weekend, I can't express how much I appreciate all the hard work that our city staff has done, our public works, our citizens who volunteered on all the committees for the sesquicentennial celebration. It's just been a wonderful thing for our town, and I sincerely appreciate all the hard work and efforts of those. And I know we have another weekend coming up, so there's work still to be done, but please keep going forward. Thank you. I really appreciate your hard work. Mr. Kelty, if you would come up, please, sir, so I could read you the oath of office. You would raise your right hand, please. I state your name.
I, Timothy Kelty,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
of the state of Texas
of the state of Texas
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve,
preserve,
protect, and defend
and defend
the constitutions and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Okay, do we have any anyone signed up for citizens' communications? Sir. Rosalinda Braun? If you would, ma'am, please, you're welcome to go up to the microphone there at the podium. And I don't know if you read the rules, but you have 3 minutes to speak, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
And that microphone will adjust, so.
My name is Rosalinda Braun. I'm from Rockdale. I live at 515 East Belton. My major concern is about the area that I live in, which is the street between Rice and Yoakum. We have a lot of people that goes up and down the streets running their vehicle fast. I'm really I'm afraid of that. I really am. The only solution I could think of is putting speed bumps. It'll probably cool it down. That would help a lot. I know that we have a little girl on our side, my side, and she's almost gotten hit twice because the cars were running so fast. It's not right. And then the speed bumps. I mean, the potholes. I want to address the potholes in that area are bad too. When I go and get the mail, I have fell one time. I'm the type of person that once I fall, I cannot get up. So I laid there on the street from 30 minutes to 45 minutes, hoping that somebody would come pick me up. They finally did. They picked me up. They took me in my house. One of the guys got a red rag to put on my head. The other one got me something to drink. To me, it was embarrassing, but it's okay. I lived through it. I went back to the center. I just now find out that there was 2 more people that fell because of the streets. So I'm having to address address this because it's just not happened to me. It's happening to others. When you have potholes, we have a lot of kids that hits those potholes when the parents are running their car on the potholes. They bite their tongue, they bite their lips, and I was shocked to hear that. I have a button that I wear all the time. When the bus driver hits the potholes, my button goes off, which is no big thing. But it means that the streets are bad. We need to address them. I'd appreciate you for allowing me to talk. We do need some work to be done on the streets. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Can I ask a question, Mayor? As far as the traffic speed going through that area, is there a certain time of day that you notice it's heavier than others?
All I know is I hear them at night, middle of the night. I hear them during the day. I hear it all hours. And it's not the young people. It's not just the old people. It's the young people. And if you say something to them, then you're causing problems with them.
Thank you, Ms. Braun.
Thank you.
Obviously, our police chief recognizes your concerns and hears your concerns.
Thank you again.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Moving down to item 7, our consent agenda. 7A, approvals of our consent agenda. I'll ask, is there anything on the consent agenda that council would like pulled out for further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as read.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the consent agenda as written. Is there any discussion? No discussion. We'll vote. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Moving into item 8 on the agenda, ordinances. Item 8A is consider and take any action, necessary action on the first reading of an ordinance amending the Rockdale Code of Ordinance, Article 14.01.001, adopting a comprehensive city plan, providing for the amendment of the plan, providing for related matters, finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. I'll now entertain a motion on this ordinance.
I would have one request, since this city plan is tied to potential grants that we can apply for. I hope that, I think it'll be Jim, that your office will always keep us posted when you are applying for grants, and of course, we always learn when we receive them, but just to know how much activity is happening in that regard.
Any further discussion? This does require a motion, if I'm correct. Is there a motion on this matter?
I'll make a motion that we approve the reading of the ordinance, amending the Rockdale Code of Ordinance, adopting the comprehensive city plan.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? Being no, go ahead, sir.
No.
Okay. Being no discussion, you were ready to vote, weren't you? Being no discussion,
Audience ready to go.
all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. No opposed. Motion passes. Item 8B, consider take any action necessary on the second reading of an ordinance for amending the fee schedule for dog adoption and impound fees. Any questions or discussion on this?
I just had one question. I know it's a second reading. My memory's lapsed. Is this gonna cause any kickback on somebody not adopting a dog or cat? Do we have any concern with that?
This actually just reflects the cost that we're charged, and then we do have events where we make it free or low cost, so we do have those.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions? Now consider a motion.
I make a motion that we accept it as read.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second on the floor that we accept item 8B of the ordinance as read. Is there any discussion? Being none, we'll vote. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Item 8C, consider and take any necessary action on the second reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 10 subdivision regulations to grant the Planning Committee final authority over all short-form plats not requiring a variance. Is there any discussion regarding this? Doug?
I was just standing by.
I saw you standing up, Doug.
For a reason.
I'm in vacation mode, I'm in vacation attire, and I like it. And I was hoping my pro tem would have been here because I didn't make the meeting. We had scheduled a workshop to create you a plan of action on this. However, the meeting ran long and then did not act on the workshop portion of it. But again, this is, you're gonna grant us the authority that if it's a simple replat, don't drag it any farther, let us okay it. If it requires any other variances, including changing grades, drainage, or what have you, then it's gonna come before you. It will not stay with us. It will not be stopping there, it'll move on. So simple stuff we deal with, complicated stuff you deal with.
And it also speeds it up quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's the other reason.
Yes, it can.
So,
But it's an up or down vote. If you want it the way it is, we keep it the way it is. If you want to change it, then you vote.
This seems real common sense that we're empowering people who know what they're doing in these matters, and if it quickens and makes customer service better, I would make a motion that we approve the second reading of this ordinance.
I will second that motion.
I have a motion and a second on the floor that we approve the second reading of this ordinance. Is there any discussion?
Aloha.
You can't leave yet, no. I'm kidding. Being no discussion, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Item 8D, consider and take any action on the second reading of an ordinance for the Cornerstone Annual Service Assessment Plan update.
This is, we covered it all the first time, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I think we covered it all the first time. Any questions or comments regarding this proposed?
So if we vote on now, we'll be done with it, correct?
Yes, sir.
This is second reading, yes, sir.
No?
I'm going to make a motion on the recommendation of the planning council as well as staff that we approve the second reading, subject to amending the max impervious coverage allowed from 75 to 65%.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Item 8E, consider and take any action necessary on the second reading of an ordinance amending the
apologize,
zoning
Mr. Mayor.
ordinance.
The motion was for 8E, and we need a motion on the service and assessment plan.
Oh, that was,
The
We just-
service and assessment plan was right before this.
We
and
just
so-
did 8D.
yeah, we did D.
Right, but his motion was,
8E, I'm sorry, I'm missing some paperwork.
Thank you for catching that.
I'm sorry, we're missing some sheets.
You're missing some sheets, okay.
Oh, we got it.
So,
But I'll go ahead and make a motion for line item 8D as read.
I have a motion for item 8D as read. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. I'm going to read 8E, even though we've had a motion and a second and a vote to approve it. I just want to make sure everyone understands
Well, we've already read our packet, so.
what item 8E is. Consider and take any action necessary on the second reading of an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance by rezoning a certain parcel of land known as 712 North Wilcox from zoning classification agricultural to zoning classification R1 residential single-family planned unit development. Again, there's already been a motion, a second, and the motion passed on that item. Moving along to the last item under ordinances, item F. Councilmember Starnes, you got that?
Yeah, we have it.
Item F, I'm just joking with you a little bit.
Still catching up.
Consider and take any necessary action on the second reading of an ordinance, amend the zoning ordinance by rezoning a certain parcel of land, property known as 633 Ackerman Street for zoning classification R1 residential single family to zoning classification C1 commercial light planned unit development. Any questions, discussion on that?
And the zoning committee's fine with it. It's our second reading, so.
Yes, Doug? any
Yeah,
input?
excuse me, it passed through staff and through planning and zoning, and really it's to bring the property into alignment with what its use is. If it's zoned residential, then they cannot get insurance for, it's a daycare center, so we're just trying to line it up so that they can get insurance.
Thank you.
Performing is what I'm trying to say, but yeah.
I move that we approve line item 8F as read.
Have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second on the floor to approve is read. Is there any discussion? Being none, we'll vote. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Moving down to action items, I've had a request from KSA Engineering. Your request was to be moved up on the action items agenda, so I have granted that request. We're going to move KSA up from
9E,
9,
E,
B, D,
E.
E.
E,
Edward.
9E to 9A.
We would have been fine just waiting. That would have been just fine. But thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm Alan Phillips. This is Blake Llewellyn. We're both professional engineers with KSA Engineers. And we have a real simple matter. First of all, thank you for your confidence in us, selecting us, and your generosity hiring us as your engineers. We're doing a number of fantastic engineering projects for the city. There's a small project that you hired us for, having to do with a text dot repaving on Ackerman Street. And they had identified some sewer line conflicts that the original task was that we resolve these conflicts and put the project out to bid. Long story short, many of these lines were very difficult to locate. We didn't really understand where the lines were underneath the pavement, et cetera, how they flowed, how they connected. It was very complex, and it involved a lot of additional labor. And so we're here, hat in hand, asking you for just a little bit more money. Not a lot. And the city has asked us to further do a real simple developer cost-sharing analysis and to prepare some easements. And we are asking the city for an amendment to be able to button all that up. The good news is that we've got the plans prepared. We've got the text dot permits approved. We're just asking for a bit more money, and the city manager has asked us to come and ask the council for that.
I'd like to chime in on this, if I may. I'd like to ask Barbara to elaborate in regards to her opinion of this request.
Well, on this one, we were working with an engineer named Mike Buckle, and I think that we're up to our 9th engineer through KSA, which has caused significant delays in the project for the water line replacement. And as you know, it's essentially doubled the cost of what we can do. And this is one where Gerald and I would have to go into, I think, weekly or biweekly meetings with TxDOT to figure out where the sewer line was, and there was no movement from KSA for months and months. So my recommendation is not to approve this change order.
Thank you for that comment, Barbara. And I want to go on record in saying I'm disappointed in KSA as our engineering firm, and here's why. We had another issue with the contractor who was installing those water lines getting paid. And that put that small business owner in a tough bind, a crunch. And that reflects on me as mayor, and it reflects on everyone in this city. And I do not like that.
That being said, do we have to even vote? No vote?
You don't have to do anything. You can let it die. You can
No
make a
vote.
motion.
If there's no motion, it dies for lack of a motion. Is there any motion on the floor reflecting this request from KSA? Is there any motion on the floor reflecting this request from KSA? I'll ask one more time. Is there any motion on the floor reflecting this request from KSA? Being none, this request dies due to a lack of motion. Moving on, back to the top of action items. Items A, receive a presentation and consider take any necessary action regarding the pickleball courts. Councilman Melton.
So Ben is going to help me. I didn't write anything down, so hopefully my memory is good on what I have to say here tonight. You may be aware that pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the United States over the last 3 years. There are residents of Rockdale who make regular trips to Taylor to play in tournaments, and now recently our sister city to the north has built courts, 8 of them, which weekly have an army of Rockdalians who go there to play and then to drink and eat and go to Dairy Queen and whatnot at Cameron area residents, businesses. So if we could start with my first slide, I have something, if we were to refer to this optimistically, we would say we have an opportunity. I'm going to be blunt and say I would like to address a problem. Slide A would be the sign for skate. Okay. Could you dim the lights?
Oh, you got the lights.
I think it's the one behind you, Jim.
Okay.
Keep going, yeah, there you go.
Okay, so I think that, I don't know if you can pull them up individually or not. This first is the sign to Skate Park. If you know Skate Park, you most likely would have to admit or agree with me that in the last 5-6 years of this park's existence, there has been no skating going on there. And I'm disappointed that we can't see the larger pictures, because I have pictures of equipment, if you will, steps and whatnot that are rusted, in poor shape, very unattractive, a very poor look for our city. And then what started out on kind of a trend back in the day of graffiti walls, we were allowing graffiti. But the graffiti is nothing that I would label as art. And there is one that I included in here, which had the Nazi symbol, and then someone else who came in afterwards with F something something. I don't think these are things, this is any kind of an appearance that we should have for our city. And if we're going to have a park there, which I think we need to have a park there, I think for now at least, when you drive down to Taylor and you see what a skate park looks like, this is an embarrassment. That's the only way I will describe it. It's embarrassing. I think it's a safety issue as well. I did see yesterday, driving by to take these pictures, there was a homeless person that was camped out here at this area. There's litter. It's just not a well-kept place. And so I would like to propose that we repurpose this to pickleball courts. And so if Ben can get there, here what you have are the total of 8 pickleball courts that they put at one of their local parks. How did they make this happen? Well, Ricky Williams Memorial Tennis and Pickleball Courts, some of you may know who Ricky Williams was. He was very involved at Cameron Classic Bank. He may have been the branch president there. He passed away, and so they named these courts in honor of him. But how did they make it happen? I remember a couple years ago serving on the Parks Board that Gerald came to us with a proposal, an idea for some pickleball courts. And at that time we had some pushback, I amongst them, because they were going to place these courts at Veterans Memorial Park. I was opposed to that for 2 reasons. One, I think that our parks need to serve a purpose of green space. And that is a nice park, and it already has the tennis courts, the swimming pool, and other items, and I wanted something nice to be able to come to the east side. And this is something that would be a real improvement. But how does it happen? Okay, if you could see this one, Classic Bank Cameron came through big time financially for them. I've spoken with Melissa Barsu and have an appointment to meet with Haley Leopold, because we believe that Classic Bank would be willing to help Rockdale do something like that. And then the name of the park on that first sign, unfortunately doesn't show up real well unless your eyesight's real good, but this is the Lions Club Centennial Park. And so the Lions Club in that community also invested quite a bit to make this happen. And we have a Lions Club, and we have a Rotary Club, and I'm getting scheduled to speak to the Rotary. And then there are some individuals, there are a couple of individuals who on their list have made comments to Ray Mata that they would be willing to support financially a similar thing happening here to Rockdale, so that it isn't something that we're necessarily thinking has to come back and cost the city anything. We think we can get some people in the private sector to make this happen. And so what I'm asking for, and I don't want to make the motion or the second, but what I'm asking after discussion, Mayor, is that we have a motion to ask Mr. Brunson to submit to us a plan and what it would take and what it would cost to have that done here at Skate Park. And if someone could make that and approve that, or you can go and think I'm crazy and go in a whole other direction. If you don't know what pickleball is, my models tonight are my fellow East Side reps, Scott and Esme. You have your paddles. It's a very economical sport. You can buy your paddles and balls for as low as $39, $40, and as much as $200 to $500 if you're really into it. So it's something that you can participate in at an economical rate. We have. Ray, is there anybody else, or did they leave you out here by yourself?
I'm here by myself.
Ray's one of the ones that's making regular trips up to.
Every Tuesday, 6:30.
6:30, so if you'd like to pitch in or participate with them, they're going up, although they tell me each night, all eight of their pickleball courts are being used when they show up, so they have to kind of, wait and be patient sometime for those, so. Mayor, I guess you could entertain any questions?
Yes, absolutely.
I've got a question. So, yeah, I agree about the skate park. It is an eyesore. I wasn't living here when it was put in. Was it put in with some funds from somebody that would ruffle some feathers on? I don't know how they were built. Does anybody know the history of when it was put in?
Yes, I do, but I think the only person we really need to check with is Mayor Pro Tem Perry, because I think it was the Perry family who wanted the skate park.
But we would be wanting to clean all that out and put all this in at that spot.
I don't want to speak for the.
Well, I'm just saying that's, no, I agree. You drive by, and I don't know if they were used a lot at one time, but I don't see a lot of people.
And Skate Park is a north-south viaduct into our city, and so if you're coming from, anywhere Giddings or Lexington, what an ugly thing to pass as it is right now.
Gerald?
Joe, go ahead, sir.
I'm 100% behind this. We've been discussing this for a while. But I did have another piece of information to share with you. I was contacted today by the leader of the Girl Scouts in Rockdale, and they have requested that they be allowed to paint over the graffiti and clean it up. And they're planning on do that on the 27th of July. And we're going to furnish the paint and brushes, and we're going to cover all the graffiti up. So just in the interim, until we do something else with it, we are going to do that. We've made an agreement today.
Thank you.
Has this been explored by the Parks Committee?
Yes.
Yes.
And they suggested and approved of?
At the time, there was a concern that first of all, where we were going to put it, the finances for it, the community wasn't ready for pickleball. We had the comments that said it seemed like a really big deal, DILL, but some really cute, things like that. Left a sour taste in my mouth, that kind of thing. But I think we're definitely there, that we're seeing it in the community, and that skate park in my 5 years has not been well used. So I think Councilmember Melton has a great idea.
I would concur with that. Any other questions or comments from council? Go ahead. Ma'am, if you would step up to the microphone, please.
Good evening. My name's Jeanette Behrens, and I live in that neighborhood. I'm like 2 blocks from there. I have seen children. I have seen families. I have seen youngsters, young kids. I have seen young adults also there. It is being used, but sometimes not in the best manner. But there is a lot of kids, a lot of families that are moving in the area. And so besides pickleball, I suggest if you're going to do it, plant trees and plant some equipment for the kids, for the little ones. Maybe even just put a rounded sidewalk or something, because there is enough room for all that to be there. But it's just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could just kind of share my thoughts on this. One, I love parks. I love anything for entertainment, especially for the youth. I've never played pickleball, but I know it's something popular, and I think it's something pretty. And I do agree that something needs to be done with skate park. I, however, would like to see how the community feels about us taking up that space for pickleball. I just don't know if it'll meet everybody's needs as far as entertainment and outdoor space. Or kind of like Ms. Behrens was saying, maybe do pickleball and then also do something on the side that'll have swings and things like that for the younger population as well.
So If I may address your comment, what I heard Councilmember Melton say, and Dave, please correct me if I parrot this wrong, that you were asking for a vote to turn this over to Gerald and investigate the cost, the layout, things like that. I agree with a comment I've heard out here and what Councilmember Relis is saying also. I think if we're going, and I am all for beautification and all for parks. I think Barbara knows that. That's one of my main concerns, not my main, one of my concerns for
Me too.
the growth of our city and our citizens. Would you object to that also being included in?
Actually, because I didn't have notes, so this park also contains a rather large gazebo. This park has tennis courts. This park has a lot of green space. So absolutely, there's enough space at Skate Park to put in 2 pickleball courts equal the size of 1 tennis court. So it's not a huge commitment of space, and it still allows the rest of the park to be developed in whatever fashion the city sees fit.
Agreed, and I believe one of the other concerns was about the funding for this, so I'm glad that you've done some of the legwork to come up with that. I think some of the conversations that I heard at the time when we were talking about pickleball is, how are we gonna do pickleball if our other parks are already, in distress and suffering, and so why add another park? So if the funding part is not a problem, I can definitely support that.
So again, the request, Shannon, will you have a comment? Would you step up to the microphone, please?
Mr. Mayor, council members. Councilmember Melton, I think your idea is fabulous with the coming growth here in our town, as well as the embarrassment that skate park is providing at the moment. If funding is an issue, then I would like to go on record saying that the Cornegie businesses will commit to $10,000 to make pickleball happen, because if there's 6, 8, 12 people going to Cameron and contributing to their businesses for eating, entertainment, and whatnot, that is money that could be spent in our town and for our tax dollars. The idea of more park equipment or trees, whatnot, that's great. But for pickleball specifically, Ms. Hawley, the Cornegies will give $10,000.
That's very generous of the Carnegie businesses. Thank you so much.
That's too tough of an act to follow.
Well, this is just to get, like I said, just to get some information.
To do a study.
Yeah.
Is there a motion on the floor?
I was just going to advise you that the upcoming 9C, there is going to involve that area pretty close to it. So, it would behoove us to improve that area, but we'll deal with that when we get to 9C.
Thank you for that clarification.
I would like to,
I've got another comment, please.
I'll give you 1 minute if you would come up to the microphone, please.
Yes, sir. Hi, I'm Jeanette Behrens again. Also, there's a group of my friends that are going to the east side to another location, and it's all basketball. And so this group has been going on Thursday nights, and they try to get there early for it doesn't interfere with the other people that are playing basketball, that they meet Thursday nights. So I think it's great, and thank you, Mr. Melton, for suggesting this.
Thank you. Ms. Behrens?
no, the only thing I would like to add is can we amend and add on to that? Let's not just look at one particular
So
park.
there's not been a motion made on the floor, so you don't have to amend anything.
Okay.
You can present the motion in whatever manner you'd like to present the motion.
What I would like to add to that is that we explore and possibly re-explore the utilization of Bridge Park.
Is this your motion, sir?
This is not a motion. This is
Not a motion,
added
okay.
to it.
Okay.
I would like to add that to Dave's recommendation, and if we could collaborate in ways to use some of the resources and coming up with a way to revitalize more than just one park, I think that would be in the best interest.
I think it's definitely needed on the east side, so I'm happy that we're looking at this, revisiting it. Especially Bridge Park, I mean,
I'm concerned, like with Bridge Park, just the sign that says Bridge Park to me is a misnomer. And it is a park that, if you ever had a pool growing up, you knew that you had to have fencing because it was considered an attractive nuisance. You didn't want a kid walking into your pool and drowning. We have bridges over there that are rusted, they are old, they are not safe to be walking on. I feel like until we get Bridge Park to looking something at all like a park, rather than a bridge museum, I think the sign should come down myself, and I agree. I don't know, you know, again, what Gerald's study will come up with as far as money and what the city could come up with to pay for that, but I'm totally with, our east side parks need some attention.
and if I could just bring up, I don't know if it's ever been brought to the dais, but I know Councilmember Starnes and I submitted a plan for a potential pond at Bridge Park, and we haven't seen it here, so if we could revisit that as well to add to the East Side Park plan or vision or development, whatever you want to call it.
Yes, and
And that plan we've already submitted, we haven't seen it.
I agree with that, and yesterday evening, I attended the East Side celebration at Summiel Park and met with several of the residents over there, and that was some of the requests I had for that Summiel Park is they have that one shaded area, I think it's approximately 12 by 12. Some of the requests I heard was, could we have more shaded area to have events under? It's just one small area that everybody tries to get to first. Maybe consider doing some things just beside the basketball court and the splash pad there. So it's important for the development of those parks on the east side just as well as is in central and west side of town. So I'm hearing those requests from citizens, and I just wanted to provide that input as well.
Thank you.
I did want to say in my defense and in my support, I believe that it is our duty as council members to not just have ideas. And so I'm trying to introduce a way that I think we'll be able to get this project financed, period. And so we're coming here tonight, hopefully not half-cocked or anything like that. We've spoken with people with Rotary, people with Lions, people in some of the business community, people from Cameron who said they would support our effort, people with the bank. So we not only think that this is a worthwhile project and vision, we think that we have a community that's going to come through for funding because they believe it's a good project.
What are your, what kind of funding are you thinking, are they estimating that this is going to?
I understand, Gerald, you live in Cameron. I heard that the figure was around $100,000.
That's the number that I was told. I was thinking last year it was 90,000, so that's gotta be pretty close.
So, First Materials and Technology, who both Ray and I work for, has committed to this. They're out of Minerva. Casey and Ann Stanislaw, who we are friends with, we go to church with, and gave $25,000. Both of these were $25,000 gifts towards that project. They have said, Casey's dad graduated from Rockdale High School, that they would support this. People with the Rotary and people at Classic Bank have also. So I can't say I've raised $1, but I'm optimistic that this is a doable, achievable plan.
I came back up here because I'm next, but I do have something to mention. We have looked at the cost of putting in a half pickleball, 2 pickleball courts and a basketball side by side, and I have that price. It's 6 or 8 months old, but it won't take long to get it. We have a company in the Round Rock area that does a great job with that. The problem, the difference between us and Cameron is they had a old tennis court, concrete base, they stripped it, and so our cost is gonna be, I don't know if I'd call it significantly higher, but it is gonna be higher because we're gonna have to start from scratch, so.
Just make a motion to get the ball rolling and get some numbers.
Nothing wrong with that.
Like to make that motion,
Make a
sir?
motion that we have Gerald, get us bids and plans on just, like I said, we'll say, skate park, but it doesn't necessarily have to finally be there. We can just, that's starting the ball rolling. So, or pickleball park.
There's a
For a
motion
report for
on,
next meeting,
sir,
for a report for, at the next meeting?
If you can get it.
Okay.
there's a motion on the floor from Councilmember Caffey. Is there a second?
Where do we include the other parks, Samuel Park and Bridge Park? Can we do that, or is that something separate? I mean, I know we submitted a plan like 6 months ago, and we haven't seen it like a year ago.
Personally, I would think that would be something separate. That was not a part of the presentation
Yeah,
that
so this is
Councilmember,
just
I'm
specific.
not disagreeing with you that
Right,
it
I
should
just- I'm
be.
just Seeking clarification.
Yeah.
Well, in the event that we raise, it's cost $100,000 and Mr. Melton's, Councilmember Melton's able to raise 150, or we, we're going to collaborate and put that other 50,000 towards other parks,
I would think if the donors supported that, that would be certainly achievable. So there is a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Being none, we'll vote. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Gerald, do you have any questions about what you're tasked with?
No, sir, but I can sure ask if I find out I run into a dead end, but no, I don't have any questions right now.
Thank you, Joe.
Action item 9B, conduct a public hearing to receive public comments regarding the 2023 annual drinking water quarterly report and consider take any necessary action on approving the 2023 water quality consumer confidence report. I will now call this a public hearing open officially at 6:18 p.m.
Questions about the CCR you received in the mail? Or just, if you don't, would you just like me to go over the highlights?
Yeah, explain the data that didn't get sent in.
The CCR is a consumer confidence report that we turn in every year. All public water supply systems are required to do that. We had one minor violation in the last 12-month period, January to December 31st of 2023, and it was because we neglected to send in a half-page signed document that said we didn't sell any water to Southwest Milam. And so I did not know that it was a requirement that you tell TCQ that you didn't sell water, but we had to send that in, and we sent that in. We're up to date. This year's CCR went out with actually it was for the 2022, and then we sent one out with the one we submitted in April. So that has been taken care of for this year. The results otherwise were no violations. We've had a really good ability. We're training our guys, and they're doing a much better job of keeping the pH of our water in a range that keeps it non-corrosive, and it also lets us take out the magnesium and iron. And we have not had any secondary constituent violations, and we have not had any disinfection violations. So everything's going pretty smooth. I've got 3 guys going out next week for license testing, and I've got a couple more that have already got their licenses. So we're making good headway towards being what we need to be when I decide to hit the road. So we have guys out there that know what they're doing, not just go around day to day with a clipboard, but they know how to operate the systems, water and wastewater. This year, for the first time, EPA has required a UCMR MRL, and what that is for unregulated contaminants. I'll make sure I get it right. Unregulated contaminant monitoring rule. And what they're trying to do is, this is a precursor to setting a rule for the amount of current unregulated PFAs, primarily polyfluoroacetates and other forever chemicals that they call them, along with some chemicals that are put into the groundwater, in our case, we have lithium in our groundwater at a level of 12.6, I think, and 10.0, depending on the wells that we're taking it from. And all the other PFAs that we test for forever chemicals were all below the testing limit. They haven't set up a number yet, but I wrote it down because I didn't think you'd ask, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The UCR MCL is the lowest measurable concentration of a contaminant with 95% confidence is available to be tested and got right by 75% of the laboratories that do the testing. So right now they're just sitting and saying, how low can we test for it? How low can we set, and what's the safe amount? In the lithium, it said we were at 12.6 and 10 point something. The maximum, and that's micrograms per liter in our testing, to get anywhere close to what they're setting as a potential standard is 0.7 milligrams per liter. So we're well under it, and then the requirement goes up for a smaller person. It's times the kilograms that you weigh, and so it's a weighted average or a weighted dosage based on how much you weigh in kilograms, and we're not anywhere close to having that. But we do have lithium in our water that is naturally occurring mineral in our groundwater wells. So that's what's going on with the CCR.
Good job.
While the public hearing is still open, is there any questions from council for Gerald?
Okay.
Go ahead. Do you have a question? I need to close the public hearing first.
Go ahead.
We're going to close the public hearing officially at 6:22 p.m. I will now consider action on this item.
Okay, I move that we approve line item 9B to approve the 2023 Water Quality Consumer Confidence Report.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the Water Quality Consumer Confidence Report. Is there any discussion? Being none, we'll vote. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Gerald.
Thank you, Gerald.
Thank you, Joe.
Doug, you back up. Item 9C, consider to take any necessary action on a recommendation to the City Council regarding a plat submitted by Philip Vargas for property known as 320 South Wilcox, Rockdale, Milam County, Texas, into Lot 1 and 2.
One moment. So this came before Planning and Zoning, and this is an area around the Rockdale Speed Shop, the skate park that we were just talking about. And it's a proposal for Papa's Patio. And in your packet, if you'll see what they're proposing to us, it looks like it'll be really nice. For a long time, Rockdale's been constrained by highways and the railroad tracks, and it's been very difficult for people to think outside the boundaries of the highways and the railroads. And this is one of our first attempts to really utilize that side of the railroad tracks. And it's about time. But I just came back from Europe, and sitting outside in little cafes and patios and stuff like that is normal. And so this is what is proposed to you.
This is great. I had an opportunity to speak to the developer, the owner, and he was sharing, and correct me if I'm wrong, his vision or what the plan was, and it's going to be like a family entertainment space, open space, green space where they have cornhole, like big Jenga, fire pits, food trucks, and I think it's going to be great. So, and I think that aligned with potential pickleball, that's going to be great.
The people here don't have what's in your packet and all that. You know, they showed us some of the proposal. I don't guess you have a slide for that, do you? Yeah. So they're not really seeing what y'all saw and what we saw. I agree with what you're saying, but keep going. You're doing a good job.
Oh,
Keep going.
No, I think this is great, and good job, the Planning and Zoning Committee, good job to staff in working to get this together and get it approved. I think this is exciting. Maybe put a couple pennies on the railroad track.
It also, for Councilmember Melton, the pickleball courts he's proposing are immediately north of this area.
Right.
And so if we were to have any tournaments, they would be able to utilize Nick's property here as well as the city's property. So it's a very unified development that would
Yeah, that'll-
make a lot of difference on this.
Not trying to steal away from the parks that we already have, but in my mind, if it goes like it was presented, it would be a family park type atmosphere there. And that's why I was saying on the pickleball courts, it's gonna be a good fit. This will be a good fit if you're putting in
That'd be
pickleball,
good parents
vice
for them.
versa.
Yeah.
And since the people out here don't have it, I know we have a lot of dog lovers in our community, and a dog walking trail, I believe, is another component.
Right, and from what I understood, it was gonna be kind of gated in for safety as well, so I love that too. That way people can go enjoy and not worry about their kids, running off into the highway or whatnot, but it's great. Okay.
Consider any action on this item?
I'll move it to approve line item 8E as read.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to approve item 8C.
9C.
9.
Oh, I'm sorry.
9C, I'm sorry.
9C.
9C, yeah, you got the
My
letter
letters
right, I
were-
got the number wrong. Item 9C.
Both said will.
Item 9C, is there any
Okay.
discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Action item 9D, consider and take any necessary action on a recommendation to City Council regarding a plat submitted by Angela White for property located in the 700 block of Texas Street, also known as property ID 15190 and property ID 20077, Rockdale, Milam County, Texas, into Block 3, Lot 1A. And that's it.
Block 7A, Lot 1A. Block 7, Lot 1A.
Oh, it has that last little block 7.
Oh, there it is, Block 7, Lot 1. Thank you, Barbara. I just want to advise council, if this vote comes to a tie, I have to abstain from breaking the tie because my wife is a Realtor and she's involved in a potential transaction with this property. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that. Thank you. Is there any discussion on this
As
item?
presented to P and Z, there were some concerns. The concerns have been addressed at this time, so there was nothing for us to deny it on.
Great. Okay.
Consider any action on this item?
I make a motion that we accept it as read.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second on the floor that we accept item 9D as read. Is there any discussion? Being none, we'll vote. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Item 9E, consider and take any necessary action on a request for payment. Oh, we already did that one?
Look at us.
Item 9F, consider and take any necessary action on declaring DFS control cabinet for a single control point at the wastewater treatment plant. Gerald, what is a DFS control?
Data Flow Systems is the name of the company that built the cabinet.
Thank you for that clarity.
The previous Public Works Director had a bad habit of trying to solve training and personnel problems with buying and spending money on things that were not complete. That's why we almost had a $22 million new water treatment plant. This particular cabinet, they had problems at the wastewater plant, and the salesman for DFS convinced him to buy this cabinet for $20,000, that we could use it, and as we grew to do more, it controls a level indicator at the wastewater treatment plant, and it's at the water plant. No access to it for the wastewater treatment guys, and we're not even using it anymore. It is a very expensive and actually a very good cabinet, but we have no use for it as we've gone through our wastewater treatment plant and SCADA upgrades at Mill Street. We've gone in a different direction to make it a simpler system and not need, this is a proprietary system from DFS, and we would have to buy all the other stuff to upgrade our systems. And so we've decided to go with I guess, lower tech type, but a very good system. And so what we're asking is to declare this obsolete, surplus, and DFS has offered to buy it back from us for $8,000. I have also looked, and there may be some other options to sell it to some other water systems that have DFS equipment that might be interested in paying more. I haven't had time to search that or to follow up on it, but I will do that before we go into a final sale to DFS. So that's the situation.
Questions or comments from council?
At minimal, we'll get $8,000 for this thing.
Right, right. That we can
Possibly.
use in other things that we need.
Consider any action?
I would just say, definitely, yeah, I know you're busy, make some laps on the phone and see if you can get more.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, it's worth a round on the phone, I can promise you that, so.
I move that we approve line item 9F as read and declare the unit to be a surplus.
Second that motion.
I have a motion and a second that we approve item 9F as read. Is there any discussion? Being none, we'll vote. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Item 9G, consider and take any necessary action on a request by the Rockdale Volunteer Fire Department to sign a consent to pledge to obtain financing for a 2024 that should be F-550 Super Duty Ford Super Cab fire truck. Being that there's not a representative from the fire department here, and I am past chief of the fire department, which I applied for this grant in 2013, and it was just granted this year. I can elaborate on this request, if I may. So this grant was requested for this through the Texas A&M Forestry Service in 2013. We remained on the list that long. The grant was permitted to the Rockdale Volunteer Fire Department. The way these grants work through the Texas A&M Forestry Service is the department has to pay up to a certain percentage of the cost of that truck, and once they can show payment for that, then they are reimbursed with the grant money. So the last time we did something similar to this, the department went to one of our local banks, obtained a loan to make payment. Once payment was rendered, truck was delivered, Forestry Service reimbursed the department. So what the department is asking the city to give authorization for them to take out that loan and secure those funds at the bank.
Once again, just like before.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this, how many, is this a truck like y'all don't have now? Is it upgrading, just an
That's
older unit?
a great question, Councilman Caffey. So this truck would be considered a grass and brush fire truck, and it is replacing an older model one, which is specifically replacing Unit 724, which is beat to death and is very unsafe driving down the road, and it's still in service. So, good question, thank you. Consider any action?
Is that truck being traded in?
That truck is being traded in. I'll consider any action on this item.
Right, and just for clarification for the citizens, there's no financial obligation on our part, on the city part.
You're correct.
Right, just for the citizens to clarify. Okay, great. I move that we approve line item 9H as read
I'll second that.
to approve the consent to pledge for the fire department.
Have a motion that we approve item 9G as read. Is there any
Letters wrong all
discussion?
day. I need glasses.
You meant 9G, right?
Glasses.
Item 9G is read. Is there any discussion? Being none, we'll vote. All in favor signify by raise your, motion passes unanimously. Item 9H, consider and take any necessary action on appointments to the MDD Board of Directors for unexpired term, which expires September of 2024. Hello, Jim.
Howdy.
How are you, sir?
I'm well. How are y'all?
Jim, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
I think as mayor, I have the authority to appoint this position. Is that correct?
Per the city charter, yes, sir.
Okay. Council have any concerns with that?
Wait, now what are we doing now? No, it's not that, I'm saying this is where
We're
appointing a member.
board member to the
So-
MDD board.
Are we still going through the, exercise? Are y'all gonna recommend this person through your, okay?
Yes.
I didn't get that, so, all right. So,
Go ahead, Jim.
Correct? We're doing 3, correct?
I'm sorry?
There's 3.
Yes. So ultimately, we had 3 applicants. One was Mr. Bob Slobod, who is here. Another one was Garrett Muston. And at our last MDD board meeting, we interviewed these 2 gentlemen. Jim Morse also reapplied, and we interviewed him the month before that in April, May, whatever. And so we went through the board went through the scoring matrix, and you see the results there in front of you. And Jim Morse was the one who came in with the most points, followed closely by Garrett here. But when the board voted, they voted to recommend all 3.
So I just wanted to make sure if I chose to appoint that position that I could, but I don't want to exclude council from this decision. So I'm going to leave this decision up to the motion of council.
so you're saying, I'm just trying to understand, so actually the mayor can appoint who he wants. The board doesn't have that anymore like we did in the past? Did we not vote on it in the past?
Y'all asked us to advertise and get candidates and screen them. And what we did this last time was present the data back on our efforts.
Right. But I'm asking, so who has the authority, the council or the mayor?
In the charter, it's the mayor.
Okay, gotcha.
And I think what y'all have done in the past is y'all have both appointed and, voted to put someone on a particular board.
That's how it's been managed in the past, correct?
Yeah, I think this came up at some point a couple of years ago when an appointment was made, and we kind of revisited that, and then it came back to us on the last one. That was before Mayor Rodham was here. So I don't know if we've exercised that right for the appointment. Mayor, I appreciate your willingness to hand us, or at least take input from us. And all 3 candidates are great candidates. Thank you all for your time and commitment to this. I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and approve the appointment of these 3 candidates.
Well, we have one vacancy.
Well, excuse me. So Mr. Morse is the one that scored
He was the one that
highest.
scored the highest.
You're correct. What do you do?
I'll entertain a motion.
And Mr. Morse is not here today, right? He's
Right.
not here?
Right.
That's correct. Mr. Morse is not present. Mr. Slobod and Mr. Mustin are present in the room.
So the charge came to the council several months ago that the charge came to us that we were asking, I think Mayor Pro Tem Perry perhaps led that discussion, that we didn't always know who was best, what their needs were for these different committees that were out there. And so that started the process of these folks coming to us with some type of a scoring matrix and ranking them based on what they perceive their needs to be.
Jim, do you have a recommendation on this?
No,
He's not gonna say.
I'm not going to pick my boss.
Never put it like that before.
Thank you for asking, though.
It's just a hard decision to make. All these candidates are great, and I believe that's why we have this scoring tally, because it's supposed to make it easier.
I would just say that, this is just my opinion. To me, it shows commitment to those who are in the room versus those who are not in the room on this list.
I agree with that.
If I may make that comment. If that helps council with any motion.
Do we happen to know why Mr. Morris was not able to make it today? I agree with Mayor Rodham. It speaks volumes to me that you're not present for something important like this, and it just makes me worry about future meetings and things like that, you know, are you gonna be present? Or are you gonna communicate why you're not able to make it, at least? So that's a concern for me as far as, Mr. Morris. I'm sure he has a reason, but I wish he would communicate why he wasn't able to attend.
Did Mr. Morse communicate to you, Jim? Was there a reason he wasn't able to attend tonight, or just?
I honestly don't think we asked him to attend.
Okay, fair enough.
I didn't know we needed to.
I'm not saying you did. I was just asking for information.
Yes, sir.
Right, and just personally speaking, if something's on the agenda with my name on it, that I'm gonna be up for a position, even if you didn't ask me to personally attend, I would assume that someone would want to be there, to be present, to speak for themselves if needed, so. Again, not anything bad about him, I'm just speaking openly here about you guys.
I will entertain any action on this item at this time.
Why aren't we doing action if you're picking though, right? I missed this.
If you're giving me the authority,
Well, the charter is what y'all were saying.
and if Barbie, did you find that? Is that correct?
Okay, I'm just asking, because that's,
Okay, so so we're not gonna be able to do that then? So that means that council will have to decide?
It would really depend on how we have that board set up, and you would look for that. I thought it was a charter provision. I brought the book in, it's not in the charter. So the way that it's been handled has been for the council to make that appointment, and not that the mayor can't. But I just don't have anything in front of me that says
Barbara, can I see your charter?
it should be in the MDD. It should be in there about who on the boards and commissions.
It just says, yeah, council. I don't know exactly what it says, but I know it says, it kicks it back to the city. Charter. Well, y'all don't wait for me to do the legal research. Y'all keep talking.
this is the last one.
You also the same about Mr. Morris not being present today?
We've talked about in the past about like, I do think that falls in the same category. And like I said, he may have a very good reason
Right.
why. We've said in the past, especially with people asking for, you know, hot funds and stuff.
Found it.
Please come in here and answer questions. And we've said in the past, we're gonna start kicking them out, which we have. And so, but once again, he could have a very valid, I don't know the gentleman, I mean, he could be here.
I'll
I
ask,
don't know him at
I'll
all.
ask this, would it help council if I ask and they so volunteered, the two candidates that are in the room, would they like to get up and say something? I would certainly grant that opportunity. Maybe that would help council with the motion.
I found the section in the charter. So it's section 4.03 under city council. That's Article 4. Section 4.03, the city council, subsection H. Provide for boards and commissions as deemed necessary by the council and as required by this charter, and appoint and remove all such boards and commissions upon the recommendation of the mayor.
Well, I think it's great if the candidates would like an opportunity to speak, just
Certainly.
to share whatever.
Go ahead,
If
Mr.
that's
Mustard.
allowed, I mean, can we do that?
I think I can make that decision to,
Yeah, happy to share a little bit about me and why I've applied. So yeah, my name's Garrett Mustin, sixth generation Rockdale citizen, and I'm raising the seventh here. So the reason I applied to the board, first of all, you know, I just moved back from Austin. I was over there about 6 years. Not by my own choice, really. You know, I used to work at Little River Healthcare, and we know what happened there. So one of the reasons that I've applied to the board is I've got a vested interest in the development of this town, because I don't want my kids to have to leave town to raise their families, right? And another reason is because I've got a lot of skills, gifts, and talents that I've gained over the years in marketing. And I think that this town could really use some of the things I have to offer, in addition to the network that I've built up over in Austin. And I've been really blessed with some of the circles that I'm in. And, I just think I have a lot to offer. I talked with Jim, got to know Jim. I've got to know some of you guys here. And it just sounds like there's a lot of opportunity, whether it's helping manage marketing agency, which I can't even tell you how many times I've done that. building, marketing teams, whatever it is. My business background, but really I'm just good with people too, and relationship building. I was copy editing some emails that just helping Jim already without a board seat. But I moved back because I want to help. So that's why I'm here. And do you have any questions for me?
Thank you, Gary.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, and my name is Bob Slobod, and unlike this one, I'm new to Rockdale, but I think that provides a unique and different perspective. We've been here 2.5 years. We've been involved in real estate, doing house flipping. My wife and her daughter have a retail store, which we've been running, and I've been really involved. I've currently now retired finally from my last job in Austin, so I'm no longer commuting into there. I used to work at the LBJ Presidential Library. I also have both a master's in human resource management. I've also been a drug and alcohol counselor. I think both of us sound like we have good people skills, but I have, I think, a good systems understanding of how things work, how things will work together. What would the effect be if we do this versus that? So I think I would also be an excellent help to get Rockdale moving. I think Rockdale is on the precipice, and things can go either really wonderfully or they could go pretty badly. And I'd like to be someone that helps make things in Rockdale change in a very positive, and the ongoing growth be a very positive for the people who already live here and all the people who are moving in. Thanks.
Thank you.
So I will ask council, would you like me as mayor to make this appointment, or would you like to do it the way you've done it by past pretense, or by past practice, I should say, by the motion of council and approval by council?
I personally, you've lived in Rockdale a long time, and I think you have the best interest, and I think that'll put some of the pressure off us. These are both great candidates, and again, if one of you do not get this position, I hope you continue to want to volunteer to one of our other committees. I think it's definitely a hard decision, and I think you'd be great to make that for us.
Okay, I will take on
That's
that.
my thought. Anybody else?
Fine with that.
I think you have the best interest at heart, and it's a big position, and
I appreciate that confidence, and I appreciate you two gentlemen being here this evening, and being willing to get up and speak and about what you would bring to this board. And I listened carefully, obviously. I think both of you bring great potential attributes to this board, but it comes down to the decision of one, and my choice is to appoint Bob Slobod to this board. And definitely, Mr. Mustin, no discredit to you, sir. I appreciate you. I hope my decision, I don't want my decision to discourage or deter you.
When he read from the charter, was that you make a recommendation and the board has to vote on it?
Oh, thank you. I will make a recommendation.
okay. Well, I'll move to approve the mayor's recommendation to appoint Mr. Bob Slobod as part of our MDD.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second on the floor to appoint Mr. Bob Slobod to the MDD board. Is there any discussion? Being none, we'll vote. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. City Manager Kelty, thank you for clarifying. My hearing is terrible in my left
Thank
ear.
you for that. and please
Yes, thank you for that.
Try again in the future, another board as well, we could use you.
I know Bob,
Great, good deal.
Great, thank you. Welcome back to Rockdale. I worked at Little River, so my heart's there with you. So welcome back.
So at this time, at 6:50 PM, we are going to convene an executive session under sections 551072 of the Texas Government Code to deliberate about purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property for the purpose of commercial development for the city's 6 acres located at 1166 West Highway 79, Rockdale, Texas.